Ladies and gentlemen, we interrupt your regularly scheduled programming to bring you this special bulletin. In this day and age of instant information, right at the clickety-clack of our fingertips, it doesn't take much for well, in this case, a video game studio to get the attention of people who just have nothing better to do with their time. Well, that's a bit of an insult. Who enjoy doing digging and releasing information to the light of day that is, yes, generally there for the public to take a look at, but not everyone's going to go out of their way and take a look. They'll just make a little video, a little post on Twitter about one company or another. And in order to get some serious attention on you, you go out and call content creators liars in the case of CD Projekt Red, because that's who we're talking about today, getting a lovely little magnifying glass on themselves earlier this year, calling a content creator Endymion a liar, saying they don't have ESG, they hire on merit, and yet Endymion, within 5 seconds at least in internet time, in a nice little post showcasing their website, their hiring practices, their own videos, their own words. And that is the case yet again, where people just dig a little bit deeper to show, excuse me, yet again, how CD Projekt Red just, I don't know, it feels like they're trying to tank the success of their own franchises. This is an article, ladies and gentlemen. You're watching a video or listening to it. Thank you very much. Anyway, moving on. John F. Trent over at Fandom Pulse, CD Projekt Red franchise and lore designer for The Witcher 4. This may be that red flag that closes your wallet, ladies and gentlemen. Describes Cyberpunk 2077 fans as, quote, fascistic, unempathetic, and depraved. Why on earth would he say such a thing? As well as poisonous and predatory wankers. My goodness. Who is this? Franchise and lore designer who is working on the upcoming Witcher 4 game, previously called CD Projekt Red's paying customers and critics, to be fair. Who is this? Cheon Mayer. We're going to call him Mayer because John does. Mayer, who has been working at CD Projekt Red since April 2023, previous worked at one of the bastions of journalistic integrity, The Gamer, from 2020 through December 2021 as an associate editor and lead features editor. Oh, I wonder where he got that attitude from. Oh, that would be The Gamer. Mayer wrote an article published in December 2020, titled People Who Call Cyberpunk 2077 Perfect. Who did that? Please. Who called Cyberpunk 2077 perfect? It is my all-time most favorite game, and I never called it perfect. Far from no. Who called it perfect? Anyway, are the people that Cyberpunk warns us against. Oh, you pretentious twat. As part of the article, he declares, while I can recognize that CD Projekt's marketing of Cyberpunk 2077 leaned into the edgelord egos of the demographic that rhymes with Bincel. Well, we're already off to a great start digging up this dude's article from 2020. Oh, I can't wait to see what he does in The Witcher 4. It's going to be fantastic. The sheer volume of people who have exposed themselves as irredeemably malicious lowlifes over the past few months for criticizing a video game and the massive shit show launch that was Cyberpunk 2077, perhaps? Is that who he's talking about? Over the past few months, and in the past few days in particular, is not just disheartening, but legitimately frightening. Oh, did someone scare you? I was always aware of the malevolent mob of paying customers who want something good to pay for. Although I've never recognized its alarming number of proponents. This is what he's calling the paying customers. How on earth does he feel now that he is working on The Witcher 4? How does he feel about these same customers? I wonder. After generalizing the 2077 players, he then pointed to specific examples and rightfully, and I'll agree with John on this one, rightfully derided individuals who were trying to trigger a seizure in former Game Informer writer Leanna Rupert as deplorable. Now, I will admit, after looking through this article, Leanna made a report. I think she wrote an article about the flashy, buzzy lights and everything, and the fact that Cyberpunk 2077 didn't have a trigger warning, where one was appropriate. Actual triggering events flashy, fast, stroby lights that can legitimately, unironically, trigger a seizure. And apparently, she claimed on X, I've been sent hundreds of videos disguised as support that are deliberate flashing to induce photosensitive triggers. If you're sharing this saying you're epileptic and received a video, don't press play. I'm back to being on my ass. This is just people being dicks and trolls, and that's probably not a good thing. Sending someone into an epileptic seizure. So yes, deriding those people, justifiable. However, here's where the fun starts, ladies and gentlemen. And here's where this little commentary, this reporting, boggles my mind, because Cyberpunk 2077 seems to be making, I guess, the criticism of Cyberpunk in the game is rearing its head again for some reason over whether or not the game is woke, anti-woke, anti-trans, anti-this, progressive that, and I don't generally understand it because I don't think it's any of those. I mean, I only put over 1,000 hours into the game, so I may not know what I'm talking about, but let's see what Mayor wrote. Quote, I wonder if they realize that by harassing trans writers who have rightfully and justifiably critiqued Cyberpunk 2077's haphazard and sometimes harmful representation of trans people, that they are themselves the exact kind of people that Cyberpunk is designed to destroy. Fascistic, unempathetic, depraved proponents of the regime designed to foster irreversible and indiscriminate misery in technophilic dystopia. I'm not entirely sure what he's trying to say there, but I just want to focus on this lovely little comment right here. Haphazard and sometimes harmful representation of trans people. I'm not sure if you're aware of this, but there's only one that I'm aware of. Trans character, trans NPC in the game. There's homosexual ones, lesbians, gay, whatever, all that stuff. But there is actually a story, Claire, the bartender. So no spoiler alert, because the game's quite a few years old. If you haven't played it, well, you're missing out. Claire, the bartender at the Afterlife, is a trans woman, post-op, I believe, who, well, I'm not going to spoil her mission because it's fantastic. It's an actual story. She's a character. She's a bartender who happens to be trans. She's not a trans character who happens to be a bartender. Her character is done right as far as I'm concerned. The only genuine way you're able to find out anything about her is, doing her mission, going through her emails, finding out who she is, what she was, and why she wants to go on this particular mission. It's the racing missions. To say harmful representation, unless, of course, they're talking about the poster, the advertising poster of obviously, well, what looks to be a female with a bit of a massive bulge in the poster, drinking a soda. A character, a demographic, being used to advertise a product. Is that the harmful representation? Because the way I see it, that means you've made it a demographic. That is the corporations taking advantage and using you to sell a product. That is how corporations are. That is marketing. That is selling to a specific demographic. How exactly is that harmful? I wouldn't even consider that haphazard, to say the least, even. But what do I know? Again, I only put 1,000 hours or more. Actually, 1,200. Good Lord, I love that game. Anyway, a bit later in the article, he declared, quote, the people who perceive Cyberpunk 27 as some impenetrably perfect game, no one, absolutely no one with above room temperature IQ will call Cyberpunk 2077 an impenetrably perfect game. The game has flaws. CD Projekt Red lied to us. The corpos, the executives pushed the game out entirely too early. Never should have been on the previous gen consoles, but hey, it was how I got to enjoy the game. Crashing every 2 hours. The glitches, the bugs, the crashing, the cars flying all over the screen. NPCs T-posing left, right, and center. And even to this day, with all the work that they put into it, there are still issues with the game. So, who on earth is calling it a perfect game? Anyway, back to the quote. The vast majority of whom haven't as much played a single... yes, the accusation that people criticizing the game or praising the game haven't played a single second of it. Why is this? Why is that a defense? Why is that a go-to? I wonder. Trying to downplay anyone's criticism of a game. This is done across social media, across content creators. You didn't even play the game. You don't have the right to talk about it. Like, well, I don't think anybody, well, people who played the game aren't calling this thing perfect, so I don't know what he's talking about. Gross testament to the members of society, it, and the cyberpunk genre at large, paint as antagonistic. What is he talking about? I read this article a little bit before, reading it again, and I'm still also very confused about where on earth this guy is coming from. But this was before he became an employee at CD Projekt Red, so perhaps his tune has changed. It is weird form of voyeurism that is frighteningly and almost unbelievably ignorant of itself. I can assure you of one thing, the people who call Cyberpunk, again, he keeps saying that. Nobody's calling Cyberpunk 2077 perfect. Refuse to acknowledge its failings. Everyone acknowledges its failings. Some people blow them entirely out of proportion, in my opinion, but here we are. As the internet drowns in vitriolic virulence, in anticipation of the game's full, unadulterated launch. So he put this article, these statements out long before the game was even launched. Sharks in the water, hungry for blood, but we are not living in cyberpunk. Anyway, and we have not yet reached technophilic dystopia. We can suppress their hatred. This dude used a thesaurus to write his article. None of this is surprising coming from Mayor, YouTuber, the reviewer, Wild Take. That's a long name. The reviewer, Wild Take, uncovered dozens of posts on Twitter and X showing what Mayor thinks of gamers. Oh, are we about to have some fun? In a post he made, this guy works for CD Projekt Red and is working on The Witcher 4, by the way. That's the point of this video, in case you forgot. Thank you for making it this far. Like, comment, subscribe, share. Please, do me a favor. Happy holidays. In one post, he made it clear he wants to physically punch them. Wow. So let's check out this interaction. Wothkeeper, in 2020, I want muscles so I can effectively punch gamers. I doubt it. And also so I can carry cute people and dogs of any size easily. You can do one or the other. See, and Mayor decides to say, I didn't realize until this tweet, but this is now also what I want. Oh boy, he's working on The Witcher 4. Are you excited now? I think I'm less excited to even see what this game is going to be now. Now that you know one of the individuals who's, the lore director at CDPR is working on Witcher 4. You want to punch gamers? Or you want Comicsgate to punch you? CG? Wait. Who is he? Is he talking about Comicsgate? What year is this? 2020? My goodness. Me and Caitlin will punch gamers together. I bet you will. In another, he described them as toxic little weirdos. This is how you talk to your customer base. This is the tried and true method, the surefire way to get people excited to play your video game. I'm sure everyone will be willing to open their wallets and just start throwing money at a game that you worked on. I am once again asking for you to stop being toxic little weirdos. How sweet. What do you make of his article? It's a jumbled up mess with a thesaurus sitting next to him that I can't even say the word. My goodness. The vitriol and hatred that he seems to have for people who liked the game, that's what boggles my mind. Usually we get this sort of, response when we criticize some sort of industry darling of a video game. We get called names and all this other stuff. We're going to punch them. We're going to beat them up. But he has this disdain for people who like Cyberpunk 2077 before the game came out. At least that's what am I wrong? I'm going to go back and check out this article. But yeah, good old Cian Mayor, Cyan, franchise and lore designer for CD Projekt Red, who is now working on The Witcher 4. If you weren't excited for Witcher 4 yet, are you excited now? Let me know. Is this going to have an effect on whether or not you are no longer on the fence? Were you going to buy the game at all? Wait and see. Maybe now with this little information about someone actually working on the game, which we will have more as the months and years go by. How has this affected your purchasing decision? Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. Leave a like, leave a dislike, do all those nifty little things that YouTube is begging you to do. And eventually I'll know how to end a video. Bye-bye.